This is an Eye on Annapolis bonus podcast.
Well, I'll tell you, the first sign of spring, they say, is the cherry blossoms in D.C. I like to think it's the forsythia that grows in my backyard. But the other harbinger of spring is definitely the boat shows that are coming into Annapolis and the Bay Bridge Boat Show over across the river. River? No, that's a bay.
Across the bay, yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, a lot of people, they burn their socks, and that signals spring. But for us, it's certainly the Bay Bridge Boat Show and the Annapolis Spring Sailboat Show.
That's true. Well, we are here with Mary Ewenson, who is the publisher of Spin Sheet, Prop Talk, and Fish Talk. 3 wonderful magazines that if you have anything to do with the water anywhere near the Chesapeake Bay, you do need to make sure that you pick them up in pretty much any maritime-related-ish kind of place.
Yeah, we have distribution for free newsprint, 12 months a year for all 3 of them. And we are distributed in libraries, bars, restaurants, marinas, tackle shops, marine supply stores, grocery stores.
Right. Well, in addition to your publishing duties, you are one of the owners of the Annapolis Boat Shows. You still have a smile on your face, so you're not regretting that purchase from many, many years ago. So that's a good thing, despite living through a pandemic. Last fall was just so wonderful, okay? And the fall boat shows are wonderful. You've got 2 weeks, 3 weeks with all of your setup and everything else, but 2 weeks where just thousands and thousands of people flock into town to do everything about boats. And it was just so wonderful after a year off to be back in person and to see what a success it was.
Yeah, it was it felt like homecoming. Everybody just coming back to town. I mean, the fall boat shows are national and international. And one thing that was a little bit tough last fall is that the international travel, understandably, was pretty much squelched by the pandemic. But nationally and just local, so many people came out just to see each other again. We've all been hunkered down, and while boating was huge during the pandemic. I mean, it was the ultimate socially distant kind of activity. And you heard about so many new people getting into boating, but we were all boating with our little bubbles. And one of the beauties of the boat shows is our boat shows are outside. And so we had huge attendance, and it was great to see all these boaters in one place.
It truly was. Well, in addition to the fall boat shows, though, you guys also have spring boat shows. And last year, because of COVID and the city wasn't trying to figure out what they were doing, you combined them both over on the eastern shore at the Bay Bridge Marina, and you had a power sailboat, and it went a little bit longer than the typical weekend. But we're back to normal here, and we have the sailboat show here in Annapolis, and we have the powerboat show over in the Bay Bridge Marina. And the powerboat show kicks off at April 21st to the 24th, and that's at the Bay Bridge Marina is the name of it, but it's like Hemingway's, which does have a new name, and I don't know what it is.
The new name is Libby's.
Libby's?
And they should be reopened in time for the show. Yeah, it's exciting.
I heard they were doing some wonderful things there.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. I'm anxious to go eat there and try that out, because that's such a beautiful venue, and that's a really neat place to have it. But that is your powerboat show, and I know that during the fall I spoke with Ranger Tuggs, and he was just, I have no boats to sell, which hopefully that's starting to change up a little bit.
Yeah, I know. It's been super challenging. And then you hear all of the supply chain stories where, well, we have the boat all built, but we can't get a windscreen for it. Or we've got the boat all built and we can't get the piece of wire we need to attach the just the strangest little bits are missing. But a lot of that's starting to loosen up. It's kind of come from both directions. Demand has been very high for new boats and for used boats, and then there have been supply side problems. But that it's loosening up some. Our dealers and brokers coming to both the Powerboat Show over at the Bay Bridge Boat Show and the Annapolis Spring Sailboat Show, they're working hard to bring models for everybody to see. And it's hard work for them, but they know that they want to be able to show our showgoers the best of what they have to offer. So even if it may be a year to get one of those boats after you order it, they're still trying to get one there for you to see. And there are plenty of boats that you can buy and walk away with.
Well, that was my question for you, because I know that the spring boat shows typically, and probably not the right word because it doesn't really define it, but is sort of the cash and carry crowd.
Well, yeah, we
more so than the fall.
So the fall shows, with the exception of our brokerage show, which is like off in St. Mary's Cove, they're all new boats. And the spring shows, we do have new boats and pre-owned boats. So, and a lot of those boats, they're ready to go. Like you can buy it at the show, and when we move everybody out, move those docks out, you can take the boat with you.
They just sort of tie it up to a mooring ball and grab a water taxi out there and off you go. The keys are under the mat.
Well, exactly. And one of the good things that's happening is because some new boats are being delivered now, the boats that are coming in on trade are available, and there's some good boats available. I mean, we're not back to just boats flowing in like crazy, but I think they're going to be really great shows.
Right. Well, I've heard with cars is similar. That's like I think they were saying that Tesla was sending out cars without like USB ports to charge your phones or something because they some really obscure part that they couldn't get.
Well, we actually are going to have at both shows, a BMW is bringing some electric cars to be test driven at the Spring Sailboat Show and at the Bay Bridge Boat Show. So they found cars.
Very cool. So they're now a sponsor for the boat shows?
Yeah.
This spring? Mm-hmm. Great. Well, BMW, are they going to get into the boating world?
Oh, gosh, that isn't a question for me. That's a question for BMW.
They're probably
Not that I've heard, but if they do, you'll hear it in Prop Talk first.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Bay Bridge Boat Show. Again, that's Thursday, April 21st to Sunday, April 24th. You've got people that are bringing in some new boats. Do you know what's new coming in?
Center consoles are still the thing.
Are they
It's everybody's got a center console. There's some electric boats. There's a lot of chatter out there about what the best family boat is. We have a lot of fishing boats that are going to be there, and this year we have created a fishing pavilion, which is going to be sort of an area that's one large tent and a couple of smaller tents. We're going to have on the weekend kids casting contests where kids can come by and try to cast into they're cornhole boards, but we're going to fit them as a target. Lenny Rudo, who's the editor of Fish Talk magazine, and one of our other writers are going to do seminars on Friday evening, Saturday evening, and Sunday during the day, sort of happy hour seminars about fishing.
This makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
Why hasn't this been done before?
I knew you were going to ask that. Well, something that anglers know is that the rockfish season has been pushed later in the year. And so that there used to be a conflict between opening day and the Bay Bridge Boat Show, but opening day is May 1st this year. And the Bay Bridge Boat Show is the weekend before. So all those anglers can be there, and they can, we're also going to have people who make lures, and they'll be there selling them on the weekend. The show is 4 days, but the fishing part is really concentrated Friday night through Sunday afternoon.
In the pavilion that you're going to have, is that going to have fishing gear like lures and those types of things, which makes perfect sense. I mean, you've got three uses of the bay: sailing, despite the sailors thinking that that's the only use for the bay,
right?
Cruising. Yeah. Despite the cruisers that think that's the only use for the bay, but fishing. And, I mean, obviously you've got crabbing and some other land-based stuff, but that makes all the sense in the world to do that. That's exciting.
It is. I think it's going to be really fun. And, one of the seminars will be by Eric Packard, and he's going to be talking about snakehead fishing, which is a pretty hot topic. And I'm told they're really good to eat. I have not personally eaten snakeheads.
I've heard that rumor too.
But also Fish and Hunt Maryland will be there talking about different places that you can go fishing and hunting in the, all of Maryland, but obviously heavy concentration on the Chesapeake Bay.
The snakeheads are funny. I remember when they first discovered them, and we all thought they were going to be like crossing Route 3. And
remember they told us that they stood up and walked. And
they were going to invade and everything else. It was like, hide the kids. Don't let them.
I know. So I think, they still are an invasive species, but we're figuring out how to eat them.
But they're not taking over the world.
Not as far as we know, right?
But and to set up for that show, I mean, you've got your docks, and that's also my harbinger of spring, because I walk down along Edgewood Road and Bemby Beach Road, and I start to see activity behind the chain link fence and stuff like that. I said, okay, I know it's getting close.
Right.
That in the fall. But so you're going to take all those docks, and not all of them, because it's a little bit smaller show than typically do in the fall, but shuttle them across the bay to to do that?
Yeah, we literally we launch them in Back Creek, and we take them across, and we stage them up across the Severn River, and then we tow them across to Bay Bridge Marina. So we hope for good. We have to have a couple of days because you have to have a good weather window.
Sure.
And we'll put them together in basically a train of docks, floating docks, and set them up over there. It's, there already is a marina there, so we don't have to bring as much over as opposed to when we have a show at downtown Annapolis. We build a marina. We put pilings in and build a marina.
And for those who had not witnessed this, whether it be the fall show or even this show to a degree, go look at this because this is magical what you guys do and mystical, and it's magic. I mean, it really is. It's how do they do this? You look at photos with the full sailboat show or the full powerboat show, and it's like this doesn't look anything like Annapolis because you totally change the way it looks, which is really kind of neat.
Yeah, it's neat with the fall shows. When you go down into Ego Alley, and during the fall shows, it's completely packed, and you literally can walk across the Ego Alley on docks.
Yeah.
And then you go down a week later, and it's like, wait, this whole floating city was here, and it's gone.
It's gone.
It's pretty different from how most boat shows work.
After you break down the Bay Bridge Boat Show, you're going to be coming over here to Annapolis again, yay?
Yeah, oh, we're so excited.
And, I mean, it makes sense to have a sailboat show in Annapolis in the spring just because Annapolis is the sailing capital of the world, they say, and they can duke it out with whoever they want to duke it out with. But we're going to keep that name.
Absolutely.
Again, similar thing. I mean, we're going to have some new boats coming in, and obviously their supply chain issues are not too big of a deal. You've got the education pavilions.
We do, yeah. And in fact, over at Bay Bridge, we do as well. Boat US works with us. The Boat US, they have on-the-water training. We have seminars over at Bay Bridge about boating, dock and dine, and all kinds of things about cruising. And then we have those fishing seminars. And we also have a demo dock for people to try powerboats over there. On the Annapolis side, that following week, the Annapolis Spring Sailboat Show, we have something called Cruisers University. And that's serious classes about navigation and passage making and provisioning and all of that. And we also have a first sail program, which is super cool that for someone who's never done any sailing, we have classroom time. It's a short classroom time where you get the basics, and then they bring you out and they take you for a sail on, boats that are designed for introduction to sailing with professional instructors from American
boats,
Sailing.
Forgivable instructors.
Exactly. And so for someone who wants to try it out, it's called First Sail, and it's really a great opportunity.
I've got to think that probably is because, I do not consider, my sailing is limited to sitting on a boat with a beer and letting somebody else do the work.
Yeah, yeah.
Personally,
there's nothing wrong with that. That's a fabulous thing to do.
I got the drinking part down, but I sit there and personally I think I don't want to be at the mercy of the wind. Mm-hmm. And what happens if the wind dies when you get out there? And I know this is an irrational fear, but that first sail sounds like it would be an ideal thing for me if I'm considering this. It's like, okay, well, now I see how this works. I can put the pieces together. Yeah. And somebody that's considering, do I want a powerboat? Do I want a sailboat?
Absolutely.
Do I want to buy an oligarch yacht?
Yeah, exactly, because they're going cheap. Exactly. And also we have that, component of in the classroom first, just to give you a little bit of a feel. So it's not just a boat ride. You're learning enough about it and then going out and trying it. And then, at both shows we have boating clubs that you consider, boating education programs, sailing schools, charter companies that will teach you more of it if you decide, I got a taste of that, and this has the taste of more to me.
Right,
yeah.
right. That's true because I know in the fall that you had the basin where you could go and you had all the different chartering organizations, vacation basin,
and we have charter companies in the spring as well, and boat clubs in the spring. Obviously it's not as huge as the fall. It's but still some great offerings, especially offerings on the Chesapeake. There's some really nice charter companies here on the Chesapeake, and So that's a cool thing. And then we close out the Spring Sailboat Show, closes out with Spin Sheet hosts a crew party right across Spa Creek over at Eastport Yacht Club from 4 to 6 on Sunday. And it's free, open to the public for people with boats looking for people to crew on those boats and people looking to get rides on boats to meet boat owners. So it's a cool
I've been
sailing
several
weekend.
times on Annapolis, and it's a wonderful program that you run here, and it's it's Smash.com for sailors.
It is. It is. It's really neat because if you have a sailboat that you need 3 or 4 people to sail it, or if you even need 2 people to sail it, and you're 1 person or 2 or 3 aren't always available, you're looking for new people to get in the pipeline. And if you don't own a boat but you'd like to get more into sailing, other people's boats. I mean, we call them OPBs. Yeah. It's a great way to go.
That's fantastic. Personally, are you? I see your Facebook stuff all the time. I mean, you're a sailor.
I am a sailor.
Were you born and bred a sailor?
Yes.
Do you cringe at powerboats?
Not at all. I say I'm a sailor. I own 2 boats. One is a powerboat and one is a sailboat. And my powerboat is a center console inflatable. My sailboat is a racing sport boat, a super athletic boat.
Right.
But I grew up, water skiing, hydrosliding. That was before there was no wakeboarding yet when I was growing up, and paddling things and sailing on Hobie Cats and sailing on keelboats, and so I do both.
Well, it's funny to see how things have changed. I mean, the stand-up paddleboarding is huge, and I know that they've exhibited it at the shows, for several years now, and you've got Capital Sup, which is a great organization, and everything else. But I mean, that was not a thing 6-7 years, maybe 6 or 7, but 8 years, 10 years ago. It was like, it was just one of them California things that.
Oh, totally. Well, east of Maui, we had windsurfers, sailboards, whatever, and that's where we bought those. And then it was like, oh, there's a stand-up paddle thing. And the first thing we did was we bought paddles to try on our windsurfers. And then we're like, oh, we need paddle boards. And east of Maui and the Capital Sup guys, like, now there are paddleboard races, right? Because if it's a mode of transportation, you can race it.
Right. I want to jump back to powerboats. What's the deal with and they used to be called IO engines? Yeah. They're like the uncool kid in 3rd grade.
Yeah. Well, right. Because you could, growing up, you had inboards, and then you had inboard outboards, and then you had outboards. Right. And so the IO is your inboard outboard, and it's just
stern drive or whatever.
Exactly. Everybody. And then you had jet boats. But now it's all, not all, it's a lot of outboards. And you see, 2 outboards, 3 outboards, 5 outboards on the back of boats.
Well, there was one at the fall show I was looking at. I said, man, there's somebody compensating for something here. Something here. I'm not quite sure what. I had to whip out the calculator just to add up the horsepower on each of them.
Well, and it's interesting. And there's some beautiful things about it. I mean, anybody who ever drove a boat that had twin engines, even, inboard or inboard outboard or whatever, it's like you can maneuver it so well. 2 outboard engines that you can use somewhat independently. I mean, obviously the steering wheel or whatever is going to decide that for you. But there are a lot of really great things about that. And also the service on an outboard engine is so much easier. You don't have to crawl down in to service it. Now, outboards aren't the right choice for everything, but they're definitely figuring out a way to put them on more boats than they used to. And boats, and they're 4-strokes now, so they're quieter.
Well, it's funny. You look at the Hinckley page, and Hinckley has now gone to some of their models which would have the outboards on the back. Yeah. And boy, that is, talk about a divided audience between the two.
Yeah, jet boats and.
Yeah, they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. But I think what we need is we need to be able to use our boats more often, and we need less downtime. And the easier we can make it, I mean, it's a lot easier to get to an outboard engine than it is to get down into the bilge and get. So there are those kinds of things. I mean, there's a lot of advantages.
Right. Well, you guys are also doing a big BIP at both of the boat show things too as well. Now, and I want to sort of preface that before we get into that, but for those that are wondering, I mean, how do we buy a boat? I mean, that 100% of that transaction can be taken care of at your boat shows, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I can come in with the thought about buying it, and walk away with the contract and have it being built or delivered or whatever it is.
Exactly.
You've got financing and everything else.
Yeah, we have a sponsor for the VIP Pavilion, La Victoire, and they actually will pre-qualify people. I know it's very fancy, right? You can find it on the Boat Show website, but and I do not know all the hoops you have to jump through, but basically, if you fill out your paperwork with them saying, I want to buy a boat, and they will qualify you up to a certain amount of a loan. And then they literally give you paperwork that you can carry up to a broker when you're negotiating and say, I'm qualified for $500,000 or I'm qualified for $50,000 or whatever that is. And so it's a nice system so you know kind of what you don't do the whole negotiation to buy it and then find out later with your financing. And I'm sure, so that is just removes one more barrier to, like, it smooths the process some. And then also those people who have been pre-qualified, La Victoire welcomes them into the VIP Pavilion. And you can also pay for a ticket for the VIP Pavilion. And basically you can get VIP parking, and over on the Eastern Shore at the Bay Bridge Marina, the VIP experience will be at Libby's, the new restaurant there. And here in Annapolis, the VIP experience will be in latitude 38.
Right. Well, that's and it makes it so easy when you're pre-qualified to do that. I mean, and if I'm coming out, with me, I come out and says, okay, you're qualified for $25, and I'd be like,
exactly,
I'd be looking for the piece of rope.
Here's your remote control model, except that's even going to cost you a couple $100.
But I mean, you sit there and go, so you're not going to be crawling around on the 50-foot Hatteras when you've got a pre-qualification for that. And also, what I think is really nice, and people think that boats may be so unaffordable. People keep boats a very long time, and boats last a lot longer than cars do. Yeah. And, you typically, I guess depending on how big the boat is, but or how expensive it is, you could have essentially a mortgage on that. You could have a 20, 30-year loan on it. Yeah,
I don't know how long they go. I don't think they go to 20 or 30, but they certainly, 5, 10, and I believe as much as 15. Yeah. And I don't know for sure. I've not financed a very large boat ever. Right. But, I think there are some great programs out there, and the really good brokers and boat dealers will talk with you about what the true expense of owning a boat is, because it's not just buying the boat. And, you need to know, where are you going to keep it, and how much does it cost to service it, and what do you have to do to store it in the wintertime. And so, it's a little bit like getting a dog, right? If you go get the dog and you pay $100 for your dog, or you pay the $45 adoption fee at the SPCA, that is not the biggest expense of that dog. You go and get your first vet visit and you're like, oh my.
It's like kids too.
Yeah, like kids, right? They're cheap to get. But the thing about boating is you want to get the boat that's right for your budget and for your lifestyle. And there are so many good brokers and dealers that will talk to you about that, about the actual expense of having a boat, the actual investment. And in fact, we have a seminar that John Stefanchik from Chesapeake Bay Magazine will be doing at the Bay Bridge Boat Show about how to buy a boat, and then he'll do it again at the Spring Sailboat Show, sort of getting that feel. And both at spinsheet.com and at proptalk.com, we have articles about buying boats, because it helps you figure out those things. Like, what does it cost to paint the bottom of a boat? You've got to factor that in if you're not keeping it on a trailer. Those kinds of things.
It's like a house to a degree. You've got to maintain it. You've got to keep it there, and it will give you many, 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 many years. Oh,
it's
pleasure.
So worth doing it. I sail all the time. I'm on my powerboat all the time. I'm on my stand-up paddleboard. I recommend boating for anybody who doesn't get violently seasick. But even some people who do go out on boats, which I don't get. But you want to know what you're getting into, and you want to buy the right boat for your planned lifestyle. And sometimes you think, I'm going to get this kind of boat. And if you talk with a real professional, they might say, you're describing how you're going to use the boat. That's not the boat I would get. I would get this one over here. It'd be like me going and getting a Porsche 911 and then saying, now where will I put my two chocolate labs.
Right.
They're not going to fit in there.
Right.
Station wagon for you, Mary.
Right.
You know?
Right. No,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's also true. Your lifestyle also changes throughout your life as well.
Exactly.
I know the first boat I had was a 24-foot Bayliner. It was it was a stern drive. It had a little cuddy cabin, and it had a head and a berth, and it was great for the family and the kids. And the reason we wanted it is because the kids were all little, and it was high gunnels, and
exactly.
they couldn't flow away. I mean, I saw the Mayor's Ferry that he wants to buy at the fall show, and it had no back on it. I'm like, oh, man, get rid of those kids in a
They slide right out the back.
push the throttle down and off they go.
I don't think that ferry's going to be going very fast, but I think they'll be all right. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, you got to get the right boat.
Yeah, and I mean your lifestyle will change again. As I sit here and I'm looking at I'm boatless currently, and I'm looking, and I was actually on Spin Sheet and looking at actually I was on Prop Talk and looking at some of the power boats there because I'm not a sailor at this point. And those little Ranger tugs are really kind of cool.
Great. They're like tiny houses, They've got like everything in there.
Yeah,
they're really nice. I mean, some of them aren't like tiny houses, but the little ones are. They have big Ranger tugs too.
Yeah, and they're just really neat. They look like they could be fun. Like you could have a little party on there and just a dinner and so I don't know. And possibly we're starting to think about it.
Yeah.
But if anybody that is thinking about it, anybody that is serious about it, and the boat shows are not just selling boats. I mean, they've got all the gear that goes with it. I mean, you've got anything that's somewhat related to water. I know, they've got cookware, they've got grills, they've got, the lines that you need for it, the fenders and the trolling motors, and just absolutely everything that you could possibly imagine to outfit yourself for a life on the water on the Chesapeake Bay and beyond, of course.
Yeah.
And this year, fishing.
And this year, fishing. And I think don't discount, too, the fact that all these marine industry professionals are there. All these people who know about the boats, know about fixing things, they know about the products they sell. And so, I haven't bought a new boat in 4 years. But every time I walk through the show, I learn about new electronics or a new navigation system or a new app that I can use, or I see new foul weather gear. Like, I am perpetually cold. And so I walk through boat shows and I'm like, what is that thing that looks warm? Like, that looks like that would keep me warm and dry. And, and I like, life jackets and safety features. And you can really explore all that, and you can talk to people that have done what you are planning to do. So if you're thinking, I'm going to take my boat to Newport, or I'm going to go to Bermuda, or I'm going to go to the islands, or I'm circumnavigating, you go to these shows and you say, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And even if the person that you're looking at and talking to has never done it, they go, oh, but you know what? I know someone who did that. Let me connect you. And so you can go on the internet and research stuff, but it's so much more fun, and you get so much more out of the two-way back and forth that you get at a show.
The internet is very good for very little, small transactional business, I find. And just even buying clothes. I mean, I want to go on and put on that pair of jeans and, not get them from Amazon and go, oh, these don't fit, and send them back and go with the hassle of that.
Exactly. I mean, when was the last time you got on the internet and it was like, that person is built exactly the same as me. I'm sure I'm going to look exactly like that person in those jeans.
Yeah, they're all fake anyways.
It doesn't happen. They're photoshopped. But
sure.
No, exactly. And, the internet's great if you know exactly what you want and you're just trying to find the lowest price. But if you want to learn more about a boat and touch and feel it, or the equipment, or if you just want to have a really nice day outside, in fact, some of the best days at the boat shows are if it rains, because throw on your foul weather gear and you have, the show, you can wander through and really chat with the people who are serious about boating. And, what's more fun than hanging out with a bunch of boaters?
Drinking with a bunch of boaters.
And you can do that at the boat shows, too. Amazingly.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, especially near the fishing pavilion. I think there might be some of that going on.
Yeah, that's right. While they're waiting for rockfish season to open up.
Yeah.
You want to go to Annapolis Boat Shows with an S.com.
Yes.
And tickets are on sale right now for both shows, the Sailboat Show and the Powerboat Show. The Sailboat Show is second in Annapolis, and that is going to be on April 29th through May 1st.
Correct.
And the Bay Bridge Boat Show opens up April 21st to the 24th. And that one's a little bit day longer, right?
It is. Traditionally, we were 3 days, and we went to 4 days last year, and we're keeping it that way. And our plan is not to have box offices, to have everybody purchase their tickets in advance. Now, you could purchase your ticket in advance on your phone, but buy in advance. We want to limit the lines and all of that kind of stuff, and just be like, you've got your ticket, walk on in.
We're coming out of COVID and all of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that's not a huge issue. But again, you just think about the convenience of about being, hey, boom, fine, go. Not have you don't have the queue.
You just hold up your phone and we scan it and you're in, and no fuss, no muss. So
and you do it online, do it in advance, and that way also for you in your planning stages, you know how much beer to order in the VIP pavilion if you've sold.
Exactly. No, I think the shows are going to be really great. We're really looking forward to being at the Bay Bridge Marina. They've made some really neat improvements. They're under new ownership, and just that show is always so fabulous. And to be back in Annapolis for the Spring Sailboat Show after missing the last 2 years, and what a great thing to be able to be in a sailing town with sailors in April.
Without a doubt. And I will say, too, that the boat shows, both spring and fall, you guys are just such a wonderful asset to the community. And I'm sure I kind of speak for Queen Anne's County as well when you're over there for that. But you bring, the people come to Annapolis. The fact is that people are coming here, they're taking hotel rooms, they're taking Airbnbs, they're walking in town, they're eating their meals, they're buying stuff in our local shops, they're buying stuff certainly at the boat show. And I know in years past that we've talked with you guys at the boat show with different people. I mean, the amount of money that they're buying these boats. I mean, I sit there and I look at this, these boats and go, I can't even count the number of zeros in that. And they're selling them. Mm-hmm. And it's just such a, and we talked a little before we started recording, is that Annapolis is, in the boating world, is a proper noun. It's not a town. It's the boat shows. It's, if I go down into Fort Lauderdale and I'm talking to a boater and say, hey, you're going to Annapolis? Oh, yeah, I'll be there. I'll see you. When are you going? Now on the 9th.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, you don't need to say Annapolis Boat Show.
Right.
Say, will I see you in Annapolis? Absolutely.
Right. And what year is this for the spring shows? I know you were just over your 50th on...
Oh, you got me there.
Yeah.
We kind of got a little bit chicken winged up by COVID.
Yeah, everybody
and the
did.
Number of, how many it's been. But this will be the 50th Powerboat Show in the fall. I do know that. I think that we're up to 52 for the Sailboat Show. And Bay Bridge is in the 30s. I should know that, but I don't know. And then...
well, somebody had a good idea about 50 years ago, that's for sure.
Yeah, and in-water boat shows are great. Nothing wrong with a wintertime inside boat show. That's great, but I love the in-water aspect of it. And, I mean, as you said, Queen Anne County, they're wonderful to us. But the city of Annapolis... it really welcomes the boat shows, and we love that. And we know, there's always oh my gosh, the parking, and it's a major. We come in and we take over City Dock for 2.5 weeks, and we're really thankful that the city likes for us to do that, because we know it's good for the city, but it's not easy. We bring a bunch of cars and people into the town, and they spend a ton of money, but they take up space. We get that.
They do. And Annapolis has a tendency to like to complain about things too, I think sometimes. It's just it's part of the fabric of the community.
That's human nature, but we love it. And the community is very good to the boat shows, and the boat shows in turn try to be very good to the community.
Fabulous. Well, Mary Ewenson, thank you very much again for all that you're doing with the boat show, certainly with Prop Talk, Spin Sheet, and Fish Talk.
Yeah.
And people obviously pick up those magazines when you can, but you want to go to AnnapolisBoatShows.com to make sure you get your tickets for the Bay Bridge Boat Show or the Annapolis Spring Sailboat Show, or both, and figure out whether you're a powerboater or a sailboater.
Absolutely. And our magazine's also Spin Sheet, Prop Talk, and Fish Talk. We have websites for all of those, and we have great previews of the boat shows. So if you're looking for more information about who will be at the show, what kinds of things to do there, visit any of those sites or the AnnapolisBoatShows.com. There's features pages, and it talks about all the different programming and what days to go and where to park. Parking is always a thing. Right. And you can find that at AnnapolisBoatShows.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been a bonus podcast from Eye on Annapolis. Please visit us at eyeonannapolis.net. Follow us on Facebook at All Annapolis and on Twitter at Eye on Annapolis. And if you haven't subscribed to the Daily News Brief podcast, go for it. And all of your local news will be delivered to your phone, tablet, or smart device by 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday.